much. Let me turn to Emir. Picking up on this question of the state being absent, another finding in the report is that traditional authority is respected more than modern political authority. You've occupied positions in both worlds. How do you see traditional authority and the state working together? Are there things that the state are doing now that could help or that are undermining the additional reach that traditional authority could have in reaching young people and populations that are marginalized?
Yeah, thank you, Jenda. Now, traditional rulers like me find themselves in a very difficult position. On the one hand, politicians are very happy for you to go and fight fires, okay, tell people to keep the peace, preach to people, condemn violence. On the other, you're not allowed to criticize root causes that may come from the failings of politicians. So it's fine to say to a rural villager, you should send your daughter to school. But it's not fine to say to the governor, why haven't you built a school? Okay, it's fine to talk about the extreme nature of, say, certain interpretations of Islam, but it's not fine to talk about how certain people have been marginalized by the creation of a rentier state that basically expropriates resources and does not care about them. If you take Nigeria, in 1960, land per rural dweller was 2 hectares per rural dweller. Today we've got 0.9. Agricultural policy still remains far behind. Productivity is much lower than the rest of the world. You don't have food security. You've got millions of children out of school. It's not the fault of the children that they're out of school. Somebody was supposed to build those schools. So the difficulty for traditional institutions is, on the one hand, they're firefighters, and will continue to do that. On the other, to actually address the root causes of extremism, you've got to address questions of governance, education, healthcare, corruption. And to do that is now political. And so that's the difficulty, I think. If you take the UNDP OHDI poverty index in 2015, poverty levels in Nigeria, 46%. 46% doesn't look too bad compared to other countries. However, if you break these numbers down, in the southwest of Nigeria, 80% are living above the poverty line. In the northwest, 80% are living below the poverty line. And suddenly it becomes 2 different countries. Okay, and even those numbers don't tell you anything. As governor of Central Bank, I looked at numbers that said people are living on less than $2 a day. And it sounds bad, but you don't really know how bad it is until you look into the eyes of a woman whose baby has just died because she cannot afford drugs worth $5. Then you know what living on less than $2 a day means. You look at demographic numbers and demographic explosion, and you don't understand where they're coming from until you come to a society where a poor man who earns nothing has decided to marry 4 wives and have 25 children, and cannot take care of them. And you see a complete failure of social policy. I mean, who is talking about marriage? Who's talking about family structure? Who's talking about child spacing? Who's talking about the ability to maintain the children that you bring? And when we go into crowd resources as states, so you have state governors in the north who have 3 million, 5 million children on the streets without school. They go to China and they're looking for money not to build schools, but to build a light rail. I mean, you spend $2 billion on a light rail. $2 billion. Imagine how many children you would educate with that.